Hello, it is Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 at 10:48 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. Here's the Bruce Willis and the celebrity community. This video journal is going to be a grab bag of odds and ends, I've been meaning to say. But as for Bruce Willis, to the celebrity community, look, when you started, there weren't all these satellites up in the space, for the older celebrities at least. Now there are private satellites everywhere. The studios own satellites. Who knows? The Illuminati own satellites. I've hinted that possibly what's happening with Bruce Willis could be because he spent a lot of time in wireless waves and under satellite direct exposure. That may be false, and but I guess that's my. Think of how many when you go out and promote a movie, how many newsrooms you're in with satellite dishes on the roof. Satellites are pointed directly there. How much exposure you have to waves from satellites. Not to mention the wireless broadcast systems in those newsrooms and things like that. So, I wrote the novel FM Party. I'd like to produce it and make it a show, Netflix series, with my ideas, many of them that I was going to write in this Donald Trump type book, could be just made into the show. But hey, look, stick with the studios. They're making everything with green screens. You don't really need to have the movie industry focused in LA anymore, because everything's done with green screens in sound stages. Granted, the sound stages are built there, but you don't need the weather anymore. And you're not doing anything on location anymore. So you can stick with the studio system for that one location shoot in Morocco in the whole film, when they used to go 20 different places to shoot one film, right? Now it's down to one, and that's throwing you a bone. Oh, I got to see this place, but almost everything else is done in a soundstage. Or we can bring focus back to good writing in movies and not just superhero flicks, and then have more location and focus the industry somewhere else, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe somewhere else. Anyhow, watch till the end till I propose to see what I propose that we're going to do this summer in Utica, Pennsylvania. Anyhow, so your law enforcement. Right to trial by jury, right? I've argued right to trial by jury, that we were taken away from that, and that the legal system, the criminal justice system is out of control, huge. It's an industry of imprisoning and incarcerating and putting people on probation and parole, a portion of the population that's working class. Puts the middle class against the working class. Middle class are the police, law enforcement, and your job is to lock up as many working class citizens as possible. So how do we get back to trial by jury? Well, we could pass another amendment that says all states have to grant trial by jury in every infraction as per the federal Constitution. How do we do that? Because the Democrats are just as corrupt as the Republicans. They like their system. These politicians, these lawyers like to feel powerful, important. And basically what I'm saying is every lawyer out there, every attorney is essentially racist for supporting this system. Even if you're a civil rights lawyer. You could have brought attention to this situation years ago. You make your money off of a system that's broken and corrupt. How do we get back there? Well, we could do guns, right? Everybody wants to argue the gun amendment and our right to guns. And why wouldn't you focus on, naturally, right to trial by jury too? Because if they're going to take your guns away, don't you want a jury trial, right? So it'd be pretty hard to take them away with a jury trial. So maybe you pass an amendment that says every violation of the criminal and civil code that requires an action must have a trial by jury, as per the Constitution. And in the case of firearms, if the government were to revoke or repossess firearms from individual citizens, that citizen gets a trial by jury for each individual firearm that is repossessed by the government. Now, some people won't like this because it has wording about repossessing guns, but even the Democrats aren't really interested in taking guns away from people. They just want to make it harder to buy guns and own guns, basically buy guns that have large capacity magazines and automatic or semi-automatic capabilities. I've stated in previous journals my stance on these types of weapons, so I'm not going to go into that. So then your law enforcement right, and Mitch Miller comes along and says, look, we could have smart pill distribution devices, prescription bottles, and people who are addicted to heroin or want to do cocaine could distribute one pill every 4 hours or every 6 hours, whatever gives you a little bit of a buzz, a high, keeps your needs for that drug under control, right? So when you phrase it like that, right, people aren't in dark alleys shooting up. They can sit in their home after work. They're sore from doing manual labor jobs. They pop an OxyContin pill, feel a little high, maybe take something else to go to sleep, and take some methadone in the morning before they go to work, just to keep those withdrawal symptoms at bay, or they want to experience cocaine. As long as you train those people at the beginning. Here's a 5-hour video series about addiction, about the specific drug you're choosing, and how hard it is. And then you have on the other end a rehab fund to grant free rehab to any citizen or any person living in the United States, I would say, even immigrants and stuff like that. So, you have these smart pill containers, and if you tamper with it, you break it, you bust it open, you can't get your prescription filled anymore, right? So there's the motive. You might say they'll get broken into and abused, but then you can't go to the pharmacy and get your prescription. So, that's what I'm proposing for a legalization. So at the federal level, I've proposed one method to legalize marijuana through cafes, to get people off the streets doing it. But the other method you could do is we'll legalize marijuana federally. THC pills, the pharmaceutical companies churn out THC pills, and that's the only way you get legalized marijuana in the United States, through these smart pill container devices. How do you develop these smart pill container devices? Why not start with tobacco, nicotine? So you have nicotine and possibly THC. So cut the taxes on nicotine if you take it in pill form. So make it affordable, right? If you can afford your booze and cigarettes, you're not going to go out and commit a crime. You're going to sit at home, smoke your cigarettes, drink your booze, and watch Wheel of Fortune. If you still smoke tobacco, it's a health risk. Chew it, still a health risk. Leave the taxes where they're at, super high, very expensive for tobacco. If you want to go to the pharmacy and get a nicotine pill that comes through a smart device container that you can take every 2 hours or whatever, every hour, consult a doctor, and then you can receive these containers, and then it's very affordable to take nicotine on a regular basis. Because the studies aren't out there, we've always kind of treated it as a vice. There are nicotinic receptors in the brain. So this drug, nicotine, might actually help brain health in some way if people take it on a regular basis. We don't know, the studies aren't there. And there were studies into how it could prevent or help with Parkinson's disease and memory, dementia, stuff like that. So that's my proposal for that. So I said some stuff about the Republicans. I believe in small business Republicans. I can get behind a party made up of small business Republicans that gets their money from small business Republicans, looking out for small business. But Republicans want to cut the size of the government, right? They want small government. They don't believe in big government. Well, then you have to be open to eliminating tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly even millions of law enforcement jobs, because the system is not designed. You should have trial by jury. It's not designed to be this large, right? That's not popular with politicians because the for-profit media makes its money by showing the most heinous crimes every night from 5 to 8 o'clock at night, so that people are scared and say, holy shit, crime is insane. We need more police. We need more law enforcement. So it's a system that politicians can't go against. They don't control the media. They don't even have a stake in the media. And that's why I think they should have a stake in the media, so that they can correct these type of things and expose this system, so that we can then cut back law enforcement substantially and make for smaller government. Now, I propose ways for the bureaucracy through all the departments of the government, how we can cut jobs. Now, in law enforcement, you have to be open to the idea that some of your jobs are going to get cut, because this is not how the system is supposed to function. You're on the tax base and the taxpayer dime, and some of those jobs need to go. And so that's where we're at with that, right? If we had a state-run media program no larger than the fourth largest media company in the United States, we could break the system, break the cycle of the media scaring the crap out of people and telling them that the crime is horrible and we need more police and more law enforcement. Then the Republicans could move in and cut those government positions as they cut other government positions as well. But you can't be a staunch, hardcore Republican and say we need more police. You're being brainwashed by your own media, and that's why you feel that way. So, and even looking at law enforcement itself, why are you hunting down working class people who are sore from their working class jobs and want to do a little marijuana or a little painkiller, and not go and do it in the privacy of their own home, and not go wreck a car or do anything like that, right? We demonize drug use. It's natural for the body to to crave those drugs, because they set off chemicals in our brain that naturally occur and lead us to survival modes, help us live. So you're fighting a battle that'll never go away. You'll never eliminate the drug problem. You're just simply arresting people and ruining their lives because nobody will stand up and say, we need to break this cycle, we need to have right to trial by jury, we need to have smart pill containers and things like that. In closing, I'll say this. My plan for the Utica project has altered since I was thinking about it last night. I'm still going to do the campground thing, Ken's Campground. We're still going to have a goal of putting solar panels and a microgrid there so that we can develop the technology for streets around the U.S. that do want to have a microgrid. But I'm focused on microgrids so that we can go to the power companies and say, we want you to pay us more for the energy we generate from our house, right? It's my capitalist idea. If you own property, which is a form of capital, you should be able to make money off of that property. That's the idea behind Airbnb and other companies like that, right? If you raise the capital to buy a property, you should be able to make as much money off of that property as possible. So through energy and things like that, energy trade and things like that that your property can generate. I believe that's a capitalist model. But I'm too focused on microgrids and not on just working with the electricity companies. Let them maintain the infrastructure, and let's get more sustainable energy out there on the grid as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So my focus is going away from microgrids. If I meet a programmer that wants to develop the hardware and software on that farm, I'm all for it, but I'm not holding my breath for any computer scientist to ever approach me because it just hasn't happened. The idea is two separate things: the campground and raising money for the Utica project, which is a fund for Venango County and surrounding areas. It's a fund for solar panels and solar panel installation. I have my friend that works at Scarf Solar. He said they don't finance, so now I'm gonna found this fund, right? You pay $10 per year for membership of the fund. I'm going to develop the website. You get an account, and this is geared more towards rural people who have a large yard where they can put solar panels. I have my back end, my next step phase for this fund, which is in the cities subsidizing green energy. So in cities, we buy more green energy, they build more solar farms on the outskirts of the city, more wind farms, and we just buy our energy that way, and it pays for itself through coffees and dinners and things like that. I've proposed that. The first step, though, is this fund in Venango County. You pay $10 a year to be a member. That helps pay for the website and things so that you can have an account. You go in, you have an account. We're raising money. I'm going to try to form a nonprofit based on this. I'll be the CEO or whatever. Work for free. You pay into the fund. We raise money by people paying into the fund to pay for a solar installation on a property in the yard, not on the roof, in the yard. The fund pays for the installation. Then the people that got the installation at the house make payments into the fund. The whole thing is it's interest free. There's no interest. We pay outright for the installation and solar panels, and you pay what that costs. You don't have to pay interest on borrowing money like through Power Home Solar and all these solar companies that make a racket out of solar energy. It's a fund by local people, by region, interest free, and you make payments every month. The idea is simple. It's interest free. If you don't make your payments for 2 months in a row, very simply, our installer company comes, takes the solar panels out of your yard. That's why we don't have it up on the roof. You don't have to pay somebody to climb on a roof, pay extra $30, $40 an hour for somebody to go up, and it's not integrated in your house at all. We can just come, take the panels, and take them to the next person in line in the fund that wants solar panels. We'll install them at that house, and they make payments for the total cost of the installation and possibly the removal of the panels from another location. So it's an interest-free fund. Hopefully I can find volunteers to form the nonprofit board. We'll develop the website. You get an account, pay $10 a year. You pay $100 a month into the fund if you want. You pay what you will while the fund is being developed. That's all tracked on your account. So say you paid $700 into the fund to get it off the ground, but you're 12th in line to get solar panels. And this will allow for a voting situation where we can get the estimates from SCARF or whoever, and then it can be voted on who gets the solar panels. We'll try to adhere to who joined the fund first, but we'll have discussion, and it is a voting style platform where we can publish the estimates and decide what the best course of action is. You're 12th in line for solar panels. You paid $700 into the fund. Other people got their solar panels. Finally, you're 12th in line. You got your solar panels installed in your house. That $700 you paid in goes at the back end of the total cost of the panels installation. It goes to the back end of your payment structure. So you get your $700. Everything you pay into the fund will come back to you for your installation. It just comes at the back end. So you make your $100 payments every month for 15 years, and the last 7 payments that you would have are taken care of. You're done paying into the fund. Unless you want to pay into the fund for other people, you can always donate, but any money you pay into the fund, you will get back at the back end. That allows us to generate the money we need to continue to expand out and get more solar panels to the people in rural communities that want solar panel. And to work with the electrical companies, we don't want to tear down infrastructure. We don't necessarily want to push for maybe a battery backup, but not a battery system is not what we're paying for. We're paying to hook solar panels and run the meter backwards, and we can make an agreement with the solar companies or the electric companies to try to kind of work with them hand in hand to get the more solar panels on the grid. So with the French Creek Farms, we can put solar panels on the trapper cabin next to it out in the field. We can put solar panels next to the cottage, and we can have integrated battery and computer system. The trapper cabin could have a battery system that allows it because it doesn't have hardwired electric going to it. A little module where you can go, and when we don't have campers in there, anyone from Meadville, Franklin, surrounding communities can go check out the system, see what it is, and we'll develop the software to monitor so that we can better equip and determine how many solar panels a property needs, whether they're going to have an electric vehicle in the future and things like that. And we could do modular programs where we can come back, add more panels into the system, but this will just get you started. So a lot of options there, and that's what can be voted on through the platform. If you'd like to help me build this platform, that would be great. That's what I'm moving into the next phase of this. I'm going to launch a new website that details all this stuff, and in the next coming weeks. Thanks for watching, and join me next week when I talk about something else.